This is an open letter to Mr. Bill Maher and the Sane Society. Now, whether Mr. Bill Maher belongs to the Sane Society or not is up to him. But here's the thing, Mr. Maher. I've stopped listening to your show for a while now. So, because, what you say and what your guests say is exactly something that would an uninformed person say. So, or very biased person say. So I stopped listening because you became very biased. And overtly biased. You were always biased, but now you are a little behind time, so you're overtly biased. You're getting older, Mr. Bill Maher. This is what I'm trying to say. And you're getting overtly biased. You used to be covertly biased. Now you're overtly biased. So what I'm talking about is that. So I don't try not to listen, not to watch your show, and because of the overt bias towards, let's say, for Israel against the Asians, and for Europeans against the Asians, and for Europeans and people of European descent against the Asians, the black Asians and the brown Asians and the black Africans and the greens and the reds and all. So you have become very overtly biased, and so I stopped watching you. But unfortunately, because I had watched you for a long time, based on the algorithm of the system, because I used to watch you a lot. So from time to time, the algorithm brings up your current videos, and that's I have to either pass or pass it, not watch it because not interested. But still, from time to time, I end up watching it and not feeling good afterwards. Here is, for example, one of your recent new rules. You had about whether these protesters who are protesting uh, the Vietnam War, did I say Vietnam? Oh, the Gaza War, the Israel existence of Israel as a apartheid state for Ashkenazi folks and against the natives of the land, which happen to be in that case brown skins of Semitic variety. Brown skins of the Semitic variety. Imagine that the Europeans have gone to Asia and they're killing brown people of Semitic variety, and anybody, if you protest that killing, you are considered an anti-Semite. I'm not sure, Mr. Bilmo. I understand that all the Palestinians are Semites, and if you protest their killing, unnecessarily killing, you're considered an anti-Semite. If you protest their killing, you are pro-Semite. You're not anti-Semite. I'm not sure who comes up with these concepts. It's overtly 180 degrees. If you're for the longer life of the Semitic people of Palestine, if you're for that, you're considered as an anti-Semite. Salute to the Sane Society. Okay, here's the thing, sir. In your recent proposal, you proposed that these protesters, instead of protesting the colonialist system of Israel, they should be protesting the backward culture of the native population. This was basically the gist of your new rule. That instead of protesting the, the invasive nature of colonialism by Europeans on yet another piece of non-European land, you're telling your college student that don't protest this colonialism expansion. Protest the vulgarity of the native culture. the the stupidity of the native culture, which puts their women under burqa. Well, I listened to it, and clearly, overtly biased. Basically, the same could be said about a talking head 200 years ago in Europe. Somebody looking just like you as a talking head in Europe and telling, you know, just like you are saying, anybody protesting the slaughter of the Native Americans on this side of the Atlantic, he would be suggesting that they should be protesting the vulgarity of the native culture and hurraying for the Europeans who are bringing a better culture to the natives of North America. By the way, at that time, your native European native culture was basically nuns, what nun wore, long skirts and long with scarves and bonnets and this and that. That's what the European woman wore that time. So you weren't that forward looking in that sense either. But you still saw yourself as more forward than any vulgar native that there is. You see yourself as more forward than others. Do you see the bias here? The bias that says, I have the best penis. Maybe true, maybe not true, not be true. But that's the bias that one has towards oneself. Why do you always think your culture is the best one? That, if they hide their woman like that, that's, according to our standards, that's enslavement, that's jail or whatever. Well, have you considered, Mr. Bill Maher, have you considered that they cover up their women because the alternative is much worse? They cover up their women because the alternative is much worse. Two aspects, physical and mental. The alternative to burqa, or that covering that they force their women to wear over there in the Middle East, the alternative to that is a couple of things. In terms of physical, the sun is quite unforgiving there, and dry weather and the unforgiving sun is very harsh on the skin. So if you want a nice white woman, they're all like white, right? You like a nice, voluptuous woman with soft skin to go to home to. You insist on the woman covering up every time she comes out of the fucking house, because there were no tint windows until very recently, and no cars. Everybody didn't have a car until very recently, so they had to put their women first of all under under that veil to keep her nice and voluptuous, nice and delicious. Have you thought of that? On the other hand, oh, you have this nice woman under this thing. Have you considered the alternative is worse in terms of women being violated? Yeah. You have any doubt? Please take your, one of your female friends with you to Pakistan, relatively safe environment, or even India, the Hindu India, not the Muslim Pakistan, the Hindu India. Take your women with short skirt, what she would wear when she comes on a date with you, with short skirts and high heels and whatever. Take your girlfriend or boyfriend to one of these places in that attire in India, in the Hindu India. Take her with that attire and see how many times, how many fingers find their way up her ass. In the fucking middle of the road, in the middle of bazaar. By the time you get home, I think, she hits a record of how many times, how many men tried to grab her and did grab her. And you can't pick a fight with all of them. Have you considered that the alternative to that women covering in that area of the world, in that climate, in that culture, the alternative is much worse than telling everybody to cover up because the men cannot be Controlled. Why they can be controlled? Because to be controlled, you need an education to be under control. To be informed, to be civilized, you need an education. Have you allowed Afghanistan that? No, you have only exported weapons to Afghanistan and imported drugs. The whole idea, I mean, proudly you exported weapons to Afghanistan to have them rise against the USSR. What? Rise against order? Let's fund disorder so they can rise against order. And after they defeated the order, then, good luck. But then again, it wasn't your place to say help them or let them go. It doesn't matter. It's not your place. If the Russians would have brought order to Afghanistan, that would have been a very good choice. Yes, Russians would have been responsible for a bigger territory, but order is always better than disorder. Has this been fun? The 30, 40 years after the Russians pulled out, has Afghanistan been fun for anyone? So I guess the Russians had the right idea. In Ukraine, I think the Russians have the right idea. You brought disorder. Freedom, fight. You're pushing just as much military hardware into Ukraine as you are pushing into Afghanistan. Why? Everybody must be free under FBI. I mean, here's the thing. So you don't think about that under FBI or CIA. Whether you're inside, you're outside, one of these folks is watching you. So my point is this, that you're trying to justify eliminating the native population of a piece of land on your planet. Imagine I'm an alien, I just landed. You're trying to justify to this alien, to this, stupid cocksucker over here, you're trying to explain to him that what we are doing is righteous over there because our culture is much better than their culture. So we are going to kill as many of them as we need in order to export our culture. You see, you should be protesting the natives' culture and encouraging the colonialists in taking more land and civilizing everybody and bringing rules. Those are your rules, sir. Some of them are unrulable. Some of those places can only be ruled in small segments. Some of those places have to be ruled in large segments. Afghanistan probably would never be a country unless it was for the British that made it into a country. And Afghanistan is like 4 or 5 different tribes, leftovers of their mainland, pushed on top of the mountains and called Afghanistan. So you don't have the answers. You don't have the understanding. You think your culture is the best. My penis is the best. That's a very primitive way of looking at things. Here, I give you an example. I give you 2 examples. Sati was a historical practice in Hindu communities. Now I printed this off the internet. In which the widow sacrificed herself by sitting atop her deceased husband's funeral pyre. I hope I pronounced these words right. I may not have. Basically, in the higher classes of Hindu society before British colonialism, in their higher classes, not everybody, but in the higher classes, in order for their wives not to be defiled after their death by other men around them, by their servants or uncles here and uncles there, in order for their wife not to be defiled, they would ask the wife to kill herself along with her husband on top of the fire that burned her husband. She would be alive and he would be dead. That's in order to save the family name from being defiled. Women have urges, and as we know, have a lot of urges, so they can't control themselves, and she may be defiled by the servant and this and that, and then bring about a child that is definitely would not be of the dead husband now, which would defile the family name, and the family lineage would be mixed up. And this is what they abhorred in the caste system of India, which is still is the friend India is still run by in a caste system. So yeah, Nikki Haley and Mr. Shutush in Shutush in England, these are all friends and family in caste system, part of the caste system. Anyway, at least say, let's say they understand the caste system. That's why they understand that now they are part of the upper caste, which is usually white people. Now the white people have allowed these brown people to enter the upper caste and actually run for an office. So now these brown people are very appreciative of the white folks who allowed them to enter into the upper caste of the pink skin society. They're already in the upper caste of their own society. They're thankful that now they've been allowed by the pink skins to be part of the upper caste of the pink skin society. So for that, they're willing to bend backwards for the colonial agenda that the pink skins still have, like you, Mr. Bilmo. So the story continues about Sati. I hope I'm pronouncing that one right. During the early modern Mughal period of 1526 to 1857, it was Sati, notably associated with the elite Hindu Rajput clans in western India, marking one of the points of divergence between the Hindu Rajputs and the Muslim Mughals, who banned the practice. In 1330, in the early 19th century, the British East India Company, in the process of extending its rule to most of India, initially tolerated the practice. William Curry, a British Christian evangelist, noted 438 incidents within a 30-mile radius of the capital, Calcutta. In 1803, despite its ban within Calcutta, between 1815 and 1818, the number of incidents of sati in Bengal doubled from 378 to 839. So in the capital, the largest city, blah blah blah, it was 900 incidents. It was 3 something to 8 something. Let's say it was totally 900 incidents a year in the capital. That's basically say this 1,000, let's say 1,000 in each state, because it says that not all the people did this, because lower castes, they really are not concerned about their lineage being defiled. That's the whole idea. You're a lower caste, so you don't care. So after you die, your woman puts out so here and there, and nobody cares. And that's acceptable for them. But for them wasn't acceptable that the woman, the wife of a higher caste, being defiled after the death of the husband. Now the British went in, and I'm sure people like you, Mr. Bilmore, were present at that time, who justified the British invasion based on this, that, you know, British colonialism is right, is righteous because we are taking our culture, which is better. We don't burn our women after we die. That's a cruel thing to do. Again, you have to find out, look for an alternative. What is cruel? What you consider as cruel, the alternative might be much worse. What you consider as cruel and unusual punishment of women wearing a veil in the Muslim countries, you don't realize the alternative, having a woman with cracked skin under the sun, with cracked skin, and having her vagina, you know, touched 50 times during one passing through the bazaar because she was wearing a miniskirt. You see where I'm going with this? In order for this to be corrected, they need to be educated. But you don't educate them. You send them bombs to fight for their freedom. You're not really there to correct their culture. This is what I'm trying to say, that if you do the calculations, for example, for this sati, is very ridiculous. In a sense that, 300 women per state per year was dying because of this. That makes it about 2 million individual during the 200 years of British rule. If the British haven't brought their better culture, about 2 million women during that 200 years of British colonialism would have died through sati. 2 million, 3 million. During the 200 years of occupation, the British were the cause of 150 million Indian deaths. British colonialism caused 150 million deaths in India. The Ashkenazi colonialism in West Asia has caused 200,000 to 300,000 deaths of Palestinians for the past 75 years, up to 500,000. And, causing the refugee status for another couple of million. So it's colonialism. You look at the result and you see if they show the same result, they must be the same action. It's colonialism. They went in and you are just now, you're saying that it's like the British guy was saying that, we're going in to prevent sati because this is innocent lives being lost, and that's why we are doing a good thing going there, colonizing them, because we get rid of it, this bad idea that kills innocent people. 2 million women would have died if the British hadn't arrived. 2 million more women would have died during 200 years because of this ritual, part of their culture. But during that 200 years, not 2 million, but 150 million was killed by the British. The thing is, Mr. Bill Maher, I don't feel the problem is that you don't understand. I feel you do understand. That's the hurtful part. I think you do understand the logic. You do understand your position with regards to defending European colonialism in West Asia. I think you do understand, but you choose to talk exactly 180 degrees opposite way. Logic is not on your side, neither is history, nor is available information, none are on your side. But you continue pushing this idea, pushing for colonialism, justifying colonialism. It's the farthest thing I thought you ever be as a supposed progressive. It's the farthest thing. Bill Maher is, you know, and I've recently seen John Stewart's outfit were covering John Bolton as a serious thinker. One of the young white guy was sent to interview John Bolton as the tall white guy. To interview John Bolton as a serious thinker who has the right idea with regards to, let's say, Trump or Russia or Iraq or Israel. It's like you folks that suddenly turn 180 degrees from, oh no, let's talk it out, to no, 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 let's go kick ass because we are righteous. I'm not sure what happened here, but the reality is, if you really want to understand Mr. Bilmar, you have to move, you have to travel. You can't be sitting on your, you know, on your in your basement and whacking off and, you know, try to form an opinion based on available information to you, you know, based on available information to you, and how much time have you put in to gather that available information, and, you know, why being biased, you know, investigate why you're being so overtly biased. You can't justify it because all culture is better. Our culture is better. 40,000, they've killed 40,000 natives, and you want to justify that because by saying that their culture is vulgar and backwards, and they cover their women, and the students should be protesting not their death, but their backwardness. This is what you're saying, that students and protesters should be protesting the natives, the Palestinian natives' backwardness. They don't accept gays, and they don't accept women being, you know, overtly sexual, or women being uncovered. They don't tolerate that because I just explained. Physically, they want their women nice. They don't want their women all wrinkled up under that harsh sun. And culturally, they don't want people in the bazaar to defile their woman because everybody does it over there. This is a, you know, cultural thing. It has to do with their culture, their weather, their education, and their recent history. It's something personal. You can't export culture. You can't say, oh no, thou shalt not grab the woman's ass. Are you from that culture? You see different tribes on your planet have different problems, and they come up with different solutions for those problems. What is it to you? Different cultures, different tribes in your planet have different cultures and different weathers and different environments, so they come up with different solutions for their problems. Why do you think you have the solution for them sitting in California or New York or DC? Why do you think you, who don't speak a second language at least well, haven't immersed yourself in any other culture except your own all your life, why do you think you have this better solution? Why do you think you don't know their environment, you don't know their culture, you don't know their history, you don't know their level of education, general civility, general perspective in life, general this, that, and the other? You don't know anything about them, but you know that women covering their women up is a bad idea. Sati is a bad idea. Why? You don't understand it. They have different culture based on their environment, their culture, their history, their 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 geography. They have different understanding of life. Doesn't mean yours is better. You don't know their problems, so how can you know the solution for them? You don't know their problems. Just like I loved it when that the white guy called you general. One of these sit downs with the comedians you have, Bill Barr. I loved it when he laughed at you that you consider yourself a general. It's like, let me tell you how it is. Bill Maher, you don't know shit. You've been sitting around the same table talking with the same people all your life. Those are the people who are willing to come and speak with you. None of them are Arab, unless those are the Arabs that really like pink skin. They want to be pink skinned. They use bleach cream to be pink skinned. They love being pink skinned. They love being appreciated by pink skins. So they come and give you a blowjob from now and then. But that doesn't mean that's the general view of the non-pink skins about your ideas. And the funny thing is, you have taken your show, CNN has picked up your show to show the rest of the world. Mr. Bill Maher, educational system of the rest of the world has improved during the past 50 years, 60, 70 years. The, your audience may buy a lot of hog manure that you push out because they're unsophisticated and uneducated. Because you have made them unsophisticated because you have kept them uneducated. But the rest of the planet have not done that. So you're going to be laughed at. Your ideas would be laughed at on an international channel such as CNN. You know, they may watch you because of the humor, but pretty soon they understand that you're peddling colonialism. So in short, Mr. Bill Maher, what a different culture do in order to overcome their issues, their local issues, their native issues, those solutions that they come up with, they're called survival mechanisms. Hijab or covering is a survival mechanism for that shithole in the Middle East. For those shithole in the Middle East, hijab that they say, or the covering of their women, that's a survival mechanism. Just like the upper echelon, and usually the higher classes have it the worst. It's sort of like it's a trade-off. A woman marries a very rich man, and there's a trade-off that you can marry a rich man, but remember, if he dies, for example, you die too. Something like that with regards to sati, with regards to women of higher stature in the Middle East, they have to cover themselves more because they're worth more, supposedly. So it's all survival mechanism. They're worth more, so they have to be covered more. They belong to men of higher stature in the society, so they have to cover more. So the man of the higher stature can keep his stature higher by making sure his women are not defiled by other men. This is how their system works. It's a survival mechanism in that system specific to that culture and that geography and that history. Has nothing to do with you. You don't need to all you can do is try to interpret them. All you can do is try to interpret their culture, which you feel is backwards. They may feel your culture is backwards. Nobody can judge that part. There is no backwards and forward in culture, in behavior. Again, you find solutions for the problems that you have. Some of those solutions may include extremes such as sati, may include extremes such as burqa. It's a survival mechanism. It's a solution for the problems that they have within that geography, within that history, within that religion, within that area. They come up with solution for their problems. You can't. They have some problems, and you give them solutions that doesn't will not work for them. Again, you have any doubts, Mr. Bill Maher? Please take your girlfriend, go have a walk around in India, in the bazaar, and ask her to wear a short skirt and a open top. See how many times she gets molested in an Indian or Pakistani bazaar, or here in Jordan, in Egypt, in Morocco. Go there, take your girlfriend, and see if she gets molested or not. Right in the open, in on daylight. So they have their own solution. Cover up, don't get molested, because we are animals. We are animals. You think they're animals. Based on their culture, their history, their geography, their language, their religion, they are current. They may be backward to you, but they are current to them. What part of this is hard to understand? They're current for them in their current time. That culture, what their traditions, what they practice is current for them. Please mind your own business. I give you another example and another extreme. There is a tribe, I believe, in Angola or Kenya. I know these two are two different places. Kenya is on east coast and Angola is on west coast, but don't remember exactly which one. A tribe in Africa. If you Google it, you probably can find a tribe in Africa. That small tribes of a specific area in Africa. They have this tradition of offering their wife to sleep with a guest. If you're a guest and you enter their village and stay the night, the husband will offer his wife, one of his wives, to you for the night. He doesn't have one wife, obviously he has more than one. He will offer one of the wives to you, probably the older, looser one. Beggars can't be choosers. Anyway, if you're a guest, he will give you the older women to have fun with for the night as a guest. Now, the point is this. Again, back to your culture, is an extreme issue with it has some freedom problems, it has some abuse problems, it has some abuse of power problems, it has some freedom for women and justice and equality. This action, this tradition in this very remote tribe is very problematic to you. And probably you think we should put together an expeditionary force and go and bring them civilization. But again, it may be a survival mechanism. Imagine that the tribe is so remote that, I mean, the small tribe doesn't, of like 5, 10 families, they don't, get 50 guests a day. They get like 3 guests a year. And as a survival mechanism, if you really look at it, think about it, is a very good way. If you're very remote, your gene pool is going to be very limited. So you actually may want to, you know, bring some new genes into the pool, and therefore you offer a wife, one of your wives, to a stranger, that one stranger that drops in of the 3 stranger who drop in per year. Just a matter of survival mechanism. Why is it that, people who like you, you know, pretend that they are wiser than the rest of us and they know more, so we should listen to you? Why is this such a simple concept you don't want to admit to? I understand that you understand. I just don't understand why you wouldn't admit to it. That, yeah, they are different than us. And their culture is not worse than us, it's different because they had to find solutions for their own problems based on geography and history and religion and culture and environment and the weather, and a lot of aspects. You can't call one inferior and one superior. It's like going to the Amazon and one of these few tribes that are remaining in Amazon, start calling them, these are inferior people, we should get rid of them. You understand that much, that that's wrong. That's why these tribes haven't been contacted, because they want to keep them in their own, on their own, to at least study them, if nothing else. But the idea is that, what, you want to knock knock, we have brought you, your traditions are all, you know vulgar and backwards. Whatever you do over here in this shithole, you just tell the tribal people, whatever you do in this shithole, your traditions are all backwards, and you're shitty people, and straighten up. And I will bring you a handbook of that tells you, who is God, and how many times you should wash your hand after you take a shit. I bring you a general book to tell you all of it. Again, their problems are not your problems. If they're left alone, they can manage on their own, because they have solutions for their own problems. You may not understand them. You're not expected to understand them, especially if you're ignorant like you. Nobody expects you to understand. But if you don't understand, nobody expects you to talk about it either. If you don't understand, sir, with all due respect, if you don't understand, try to first understand by traveling. Whatever you want to talk about, whoever you want to talk about, you have to go over there and talk about them over there. Or at least go over there, see it with your own eyes, then come talk about it. You're sitting there in your lazy boy, all high and mighty, both, really and figuratively, all high and mighty, passing judgment on culture, cultural adaptations, or cultural practices of people that you never knew anything about, never been there, don't speak their language, don't haven't been. But I know that covering their woman is the wrong thing to do. It's a survival mechanism. End of story. They behave in a vulgar manner towards their women, and that's another cultural thing. So in order to prohibit each other from behaving in a vulgar manner toward their women, they cover all the women up. So you know what happens when you cover up all the women? You don't want to grab anybody's woman, because that as you grab, if all the women look alike, then wearing that black thing over their head, or the blue thing or the white thing over their head, if all the women look alike, that ass you might be grabbing might be your sister's ass, your mother's ass, your cousin's ass, or might be your wife's ass, and you just got a divorce on your hand. You see what I'm saying? Because it's a survival mechanism in a very high testosterone, shitty society, as the Middle East, macho, high testosterone, shitty societies that the societies of Middle East are. That's a genetic thing. That's an environmental thing. That's a geographical thing. That's a cultural thing. That's a religious thing. What is it to you, Mr. Bilmar? How can you pass a judgment about the cultures of people you don't know nothing about? But in context, a lot of what they do makes sense, because it's a solution for the problems that they have. Not the problems you have, Mr. Bilmar. The problems they have. And the problems they have will not be solved by sending them more weapons or attacking them as a friend or a foe. as a friend sending them more weapons, and then as a foe attacking them. These don't solve the problem of you not understanding that it's not your place to try to save them from anything or help them towards anything. You sit, you watch. End of story. If they need help, if you can help, help. If you can't, not military help. Food, education. If they need food, education, healthcare, you offer. If not, nothing else. You're not helping anybody by attacking different tribes around the planet. You're not helping anybody. Except, a few people who get rich in this business of war making. Prime example, Boeing is in three businesses: civil aviation, arms industry, and space industry. In civil aviation, their planes are falling out of the sky, and in space frontier, Elon Musk has sent I got probably twice as many rockets to space during SpaceX's short life than Boeing has sent rockets to space during its entire life. Twice, three times, four times, probably. So, from the two industry, the space, Boeing doesn't follow up, doesn't care much because there's apparently no money in it, or very expensive. Boeing becomes the monopoly in space industry, and it becomes extremely expensive, and Boeing becomes lazy. So space, there is no non-existent space industry that Boeing is not following up. Non-existent, the falling apart civil aviation industry that planes are falling out of the sky. What is Boeing concentrating on? Weapons. For the past 75 years, Boeing has been concentrating on weapons, and it shows. And it shows. Too big and cannot concentrate on everything, and they concentrate on the most profitable one. What is the most profitable one? The most profitable one is, let's go bring them their culture, bring them our culture, because our culture is better. We don't have sati, and we don't share our wives with our guests, and we don't cover our wives. I know these are extremes, but you do understand that all of these are survival mechanisms that different tribes from different cultures, from different geographies in the world, in your planet, these are the survival mechanisms that those have come up with in order to have a more or less cohesive society. At their location, they're not living in your location. You should expect them to behave by your code of ethics, by your civil standards, if they live in your land. But you don't have any right to tell them how they should live in their land, or go invade them and give a pretext as, oh, we are invading them to bring them a better culture, our culture. You can't do that. You shouldn't do that. How stupid do you think people are, Mr. Bill Maher? You're literally trying to, you know, defend civility of us against the barbarity of them. Really? That the Anglo-Saxons have been beating that drum for as long as anyone can remember. Civility that is us, and the barbarity that is them. It's not. If you move out of your basement once in a while, Mr. Bill Maher, you understand. If you speak a second language very well, if you travel really well, go live in, let's say, Egypt for 3 years, then come and tell me you understand something about brown people of West Asia. Go live in Egypt for 3 years. But unless you live in Egypt for 3 years, you don't know anything about the brown skins of West Asia. You don't even speak their language. How can you know them? How can you understand why they came up with solutions for the problems they're having in their societies if you don't understand the problems because you're not there? I mean, you guys, my pink-skinned friends, you guys have some chutzpah, the balls that you call yourself, learned people, and you call yourself very intelligent people, informed, but such an obvious thing, in your face kind of thing, is sort of like looked over. It's like, no, we're not passing judgment. We are better and they're worse. And this is not called passing judgment. What is it called? All cultural practices, which has been a solution for the problems that we have had, should work for them, although their problems may be different than our problems. Do you understand how silly that is? You found solutions for your problems in your society. That's called the culture. Practices, normal practices within a culture, within a society. What's called considered normal is what we have found to work within our society. Why do you think your solutions, what you have found to work in your society, would necessarily work in any other society? It's bullshit. But you keep repeating it as if it's fact. That no, 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 our cultural practices are better to solve your issues, your problems. Yes, I'm sure they are. You have had certain difficulties in the society, so you adopted certain norms. For example, divorce was not a norm. Eventually, you made it a norm in your society because it made the society more cohesive, worked better for the society at its time and place and geography, with its history and people and the religions. You found this to work. Let's make, divorce normal. Normalize divorce. It, it's because it's you. Divorce solves a lot of issues that you were having in your society. By making divorce normal, you solved a lot of those issues that you were having. That's it. Why do you think this idea of divorce, for example, such a simple idea? Why do you think it should work or has to work in somebody else's society, which has a different challenges based on different geography and history and culture and literature and religion and a whole array of stuff? How naive you are, Mr. Bilmar, or how naive do you think we are that we don't understand that you're wrong? Or you think we don't understand that you're wrong? Or because you can't be wrong and not know it in this case, Mr. Bilmar. It's right in your face. Right in your face. Your solutions is not necessarily everybody's solutions. Mind your own business. Try to solve the issues within your borders. Solve the issues within your borders. Make the area within your borders a paradise with good health care for everybody, or good housing and good education and good standard of living and good quality of life. If you can do that, then you may have, something to export, something to take them. Freedom and democracy. You want to take them freedom of democracy and Christianity. I missed that one. Oh, they dropped that one. I'm gonna bring it back. I'm sorry, Bill Maher. It's unfortunately it's you're way wrong, and I don't know why. Why are you insisting on a very wrong answer to a very simple question? Survival mechanism. Whatever all those other cultures do, I want you to remember, Mr. Bill Maher. The next time you see and you read anything, any piece of news from any other culture on this planet, I want you to the first word that you remember. I want I want it to be survival mechanism for that culture. You see a burqa, as you pronounce it. I want you to think survival mechanism in that culture. When you see anything else from any other culture, I want you to remember this phrase. It's probably a survival mechanism for that culture. Simple. And then that by itself reminds you to mind your own business. Mind what you understand, not what you don't. Don't mind what you don't understand. Again, you want to understand? Go to Egypt and live there for 3 years, and come and tell us that you understand some of what it is to be an Arab in North Africa. This is what you understand after a few years of living between them. Then your perspectives may be valued to a little degree more. Until then, please mind your own business, sir. You're making a you're embarrassing yourself in the international community, and it's not good. You have a good name. You still have a good name. It's not too late to save it. This is just wrong on many levels. Salute.